Hello, everybody. Welcome to Epistemic, episode number 14. Got a big crowd today for you. My name is Reid and I'm your host for today, and we have our co-hosts, Anthony Magnabosco and Daniel Earls. What's up, you guys?
Howdy. What's up? Good to see you.
Great to see you. We also have a few guests today. We have Max Mullen. What's up, Max?
Hey, nice to talk to you guys. I'm going to be not on camera because my broadband is a little bit slow, so I can't hear you guys if I'm on video.
That's cool.
No problem.
We also have Todd Yoder. What's up, Todd?
Hey, glad to be here. Excited.
Sure thing.
Good to see everybody again.
Yeah, and last but not least, Sid Maximus. What's up, Sid?
Hey, y'all. Good to see you again.
Nice. And this group here is the group who went to the American Atheists Convention last week, and we helped table the Street Epistemology table, and we helped Anthony with his workshops for Street Epistemology, and it was a really great time. Want to just give a general overview of the event, Anthony?
Oh, yeah, sure. So the American Atheists had their, I don't know what year convention it was. I should have looked that up. I'm not sure. Does anybody know which one it was?
Oh, no idea.
That's a good
Close
question.
to 20 years. I know they kept saying that word around.
Yeah, they've had several before this one. This one was in Oklahoma City and it ran from March 29th through April 1st. It was fantastic. They had reportedly 850 people show up. They brought in Hugh Laurie, the actor who plays House, as the main speaker. And it was incredible. I think at one point they asked people to raise their hands who there was from Oklahoma. I would say roughly a third of the hands went up. I would say probably something like that. It was a good turnout. And a lot of people were tabling. They had some great speakers. They allowed us to do a street epistemology workshop on Thursday, shortly after they opened up for registration. A couple hours later, we were doing our workshop, and I was a little worried we weren't going to get a lot of people because I figured half the people are going to show up on Friday. Who's going to show up on Thursday afternoon and register and go to a workshop? But we filled it up. The room held 85 people. And I think at some point we had to turn people away at the door. And that was about an hour and a half long. Very well received from what I can understand. And even before the conference, even before the workshop was done, the organizers were making plans to accommodate a second one, which we did 2 days later. And that went really well. And in between then, I was able to give a talk on street epistemology on the main floor, I guess you could say. There were probably 600 people there listening to me talk for 45 minutes and show video examples. I had 5 little video clips. And the main gist of my talk was that I think street epistemology is crucial to the future of atheism. And I think it's a turning point for atheism. And it ended really well. I got a standing ovation. I was so excited to see everyone like standing and cheering.
Yay.
And it went good. There was one little hiccup. The speaker before me took a little extra time to answer questions, and that cut into my time. But I think I was able to cover all the major points, and we tabled. And that's kind of why we brought you all here, because you guys were the volunteers, and there were a few others as well. They couldn't be here. To help us table and promote street epistemology. And we want to kind of get into some of the anecdotes, some of the things you observed, some of the things you liked, didn't like, that kind of thing. So that's sort of a high-level overview of what the weekend was like. And I want to really get into the details with you guys and see what you thought.
Sure.
So, yeah, what should we cover first? There's the 2 workshops. I helped out in the second workshop. That was fun.
Yeah.
Anthony, let me talk about the backfire effect a little bit. And I basically re-listened to that most recent You Are Not So Smart podcast and kind of transcribed some stuff and read a bit about that. And it was nice.
Yeah, that was neat to see you helping out with the second workshop and answering questions. That one was a little tricky because we were coming up against the start of another speaker. I didn't want to cut into her time, so we made it optional. Hey, in fact, the second one, we had 110 people, somebody counted for the second workshop. And then we said, hey, before we get into the Q&A, if anyone wants to leave and go catch this speaker, please go ahead and do so. And then I'd say 30 or 40 people stayed for the question and answer session. It worked out really good. But in the interest of time, I believe Sid has to go fairly soon. So we wanted to get his perspective of things. So Sid, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself. Why did you go to the conference? What were you hoping to get out of it? And tell us some things that happened to you while you were tabling for Street Epistemology there.
Sure. Well, I've been running every other weekend a small little get together in Denton, Texas, where we atheists have lunch, and I've gone to a Skepticon, which was pretty fun a couple years ago, and I've always wanted to go to the American Atheists Convention. I was trying to get there really hard this year, but the funding wasn't quite getting there. And then when you said, "Hey, if you can help out, we may be able to help with that," it made it perfect. So I really appreciate you guys letting me be able to do that. I got there on Thursday. I was the first one there, and which was nice. I got there early on Thursday morning, and I got to meet David Silverman. He was out like setting things up, so I got to talk to him for a couple of seconds. So
I forgot about that. You were the first one. We had a Facebook Messenger group set up, and I think you said, "Yeah, I'm there. I'm looking around, scoping out the tables."
Yeah, they didn't even have one for us, and I started bugging them about it. And
What?
then we got
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Okay, I'm gonna get a table." And then you were like, "Hey, did we get one near this one?" And then so I started bugging them about that, and they were just like, I heard an anecdote that someone overheard that they were like, "God, these Street Epistemology guys just keep bugging us about tables. They're not getting moved." And then I just dropped it after that because I was like, "All right, it's fine. We got a table. We're good."
Oh, see,
fine.
That's funny. Okay, yeah, there should have been no ambiguity about that. We definitely were supposed to have a table, and ideally we wanted to get it next to the Recovering from Religion one at the request of Daryl Ray. Dr. Daryl Ray, he is a big fan of SE. He sees the benefit of it, and we love the association between our two groups. But yeah, we try. If I remember right, I don't know if you were there, Max, yet, but we were. Yeah, we tried setting our table up next to the RFR one, and then within 2 minutes, somebody came by and said, "Who told you can move?"
Yeah.
So we kind of tucked our tail between our legs and went back to our original spot. So we tried to make that happen, Dr. Ray. We really did, but it didn't happen. But anyways, we still had a pretty good location, I thought.
I think it was a great location because it's right there next to registration, pretty close, and people were always walking by and watching. I spent a good lot of time sitting there and talking to people, and it was fun. Yeah, what else? After your second workshop, right as we came out, there was some street preachery people at our table, and I got to talk to them for a little bit. And the funny thing is that even though we've been talking about street epistemology all weekend, it was still almost impossible for me to not go into the counter apologetic stuff. Because he started talking about. Wait a second. Yeah.
You were working the SE table and still struggled.
It's still tough. It's tough. I mean, because they're so good, these street preachers, at saying things that you want to just counter. I didn't do it too hard, I don't think, but it was still tough not to, because I have so many anecdotes from so many years of just arguing with people that I just like pull them out. It's. But it was nice. And then I think a lot of people really like the SE because out in the world, it's hard not to be angry and antagonistic when they're angry and antagonistic at you. And, we get labeled as, the angry atheists or just the arguing atheists, and having this skill set and these rules, they're not rules, but having street epistemology helps not get into fights, I think, because you're just asking questions in a respectful way, and I think it helps get people thinking instead of arguing. And I think that's why so many people at the convention really liked your talk, was because you were talking about how to basically not be a dick, and that's hard for some of us.
Should I think what's interesting is like 10 minutes before you got there, he had me cornered, the same guy.
Yeah,
and he was like talking on a script, and he's throwing out all these big words, and half of it was going right over my head. But I just tried to stay with the SC, and we detoured all the way around that, and it was really interesting. And
I even
was
asked
really-
him. I was like, "Did you just like? Are those other people's words that you were saying? Because it didn't sound like those were your words." And he didn't know how to handle that. He's like,
Wow. It would have been cool if they would have gone to one of the workshops. I would have loved to have had theists. In fact, I think I might have.
I think there was
Yeah.
one actually. I listened to a podcast on the plane home last night from a preacher or a minister who was in that second workshop and didn't actually role play as a Christian. They were just
Yeah.
sincere as themselves.
I think that was the same individual that ended up writing an article about the convention where he went to the main speaker. It sounded like he attended my talk and then the next day came back to see the thing with Hugh Laurie. And it was just really, in my view, is a pretty unfair characterization of the event. Okay, so you had theists showing up. How about atheists? You have a lot of atheists come to the. What was the typical response? Were people confused? Had they heard of it before? What were your thoughts on that?
First one was a pronunciation of epistemology. That one was the first epistemology. I mean, that was funny. But most people thought it was cool, and that's what it's about. They were curious, but not like super interactive. But some of them were. They wanted a T-shirt and a button, pen, or not button, a sticker. So that was just handing those things out.
Oh yeah, we had a donor that gave us some funds for T-shirts and
actually
buttons.
at your second workshop up at the front there, I talked to him during the question.
Exciting things is the constant buzz at our table. I mean, people coming and asking questions and giving us examples. How would you respond to this? And so that was really neat.
And there's another view of our setup. Yeah, and we were right across from the atheist community of Austin table. You can just barely see it in that other picture. Yeah, there's me standing there watching one of my own videos. Oh, what's this picture from? Is this the first one? The first workshop.
Yeah, that's the first word. Yeah.
Yeah,
Second one was a bunch of tables.
It was fucking packed. There weren't any seats.
Yeah.
We had to turn people away at the doors.
I'm
You
pretty
said
sure
there
it
was-
was against code how many people were in that room.
It was 85 was the limit of the room.
I counted at one time 91
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
that we had in there. So they were packed. They were packed in.
Yeah. I
I
gotta
went
say
back-
though, I like the second. This is the second room. I like this room better. It was a lot larger, round tables. The audio video was great. It was cool in there. This one was good. We had about 100. Okay, somebody counted 110 in this room, I think, at one point. And you can see there, I'm showing Reid's video as people were filtering in.
And I noticed how many people were really interested in learning it from you. They had good questions and were really excited to try and practice it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the questions during the second workshop were good. Like, not that the first ones were bad, but I found like the second one, it was more emotional. Like somebody asked a really good question. Daniel, what was it? It was something like, do you ever feel guilty or something like that? Do you remember?
I do.
Go ahead.
The lady asked, do you ever like have guilt when you talk to people and like maybe if you do convince them that you're taking something away from them, basically is the question. And she kind of got a little teary-eyed about it. So
I was getting teary-eyed. I think a few people were. And
Yeah.
fortunately, we had Reid in there who's been doing this for a while, and then Daniel himself who went through the process. And that was neat to be able to I didn't even have to answer that. I could have, but Daniel got up there and ended up addressing her.
Yeah, I wanted to. Sorry, my mic was muted for a second. I was looking something up, but yeah, I got a lot of that this weekend too, and I kind of expected that as much. Where it was like, oh well, does this really work, or is there evidence of this thing kind of working? And being able to tell about my own experience with the process was really awesome because you can kind of see it on people's faces, being like, oh really? Like you were a Christian? And it's like, yeah, dude, you can go look it up. Like that's real. And also, I mean, they are right in asking, like, is this an ethical thing to do? Because I mean, we constantly have to ask ourselves that every single time we have these conversations. We have to know, okay, when is a good time to stop and when is a good time to keep going? And that's not always clear, unfortunately. Sure. But, we're always going to be having these conversations anyway, right? And whether you're out on the street doing street epistemology or you're doing it with your own family at home, I think the best way to look at it is to say, okay, what is the best method for having these conversations? And, you know, I just think it's the best one so far from what I've seen. So I'm glad I'm able to share that with people and say, hey, this is okay. You know, everything's going to be all right. So, yeah.
I think it's funny that the ethical question comes up with SE, and it seems like nobody's really bringing it up when you're arguing.
No.
Have you really considered the ethics when you're arguing with somebody about their God belief? But
exactly. Yeah.
But it comes up with SE. And I think it's more telling that it's coming up because I think perhaps people see the efficacy of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really awesome.
There was one woman, I think she attended the second workshop, and she was really excited. She sent her husband, who was at home, all these links, or just started telling him about street epistemology. He started looking stuff up, and then she said the next day, my husband's really skeptical. Do you have any data? Do you have any examples of people that have come through this and don't believe anymore? And I said, I'm glad that he's skeptical. You should be skeptical. And she was really excited about that. And I ended up sending her some links to videos to pass along to her husband. Do you have anything else you want to add, Sid, before you head out?
No, other than just I had a really great time. It was really cool to meet all you guys, and I'm definitely going to come to the next convention. It was definitely worth it, and I learned a lot. Even though I've seen a lot of your videos, I mean, even I learned stuff, you know, and especially in that second workshop with the pyramid tiers and stuff like that. Visually, it helped me out a little bit. So
nice.
Other than that, that's just my take on it. And yeah.
Well, every time I looked up, it seemed like you were at the table manning it, really. And not that everyone else here didn't pitch in, but you were there a lot, and I really am grateful that you were there to represent SE and pass along the information so people can, you know, learn more about it.
It was fun.
Cool. Max, is there anything you want to add? You kind of have a unique twist on things, if I remember right.
Yeah. When Sid was talking, and he was talking about how people, you know, get into arguments, and it reminded me of when you were talking on your talk about how raise your hand if you've ever damaged a relationship due to your non-belief, or I don't know if you said raise your hand, but have you ever, I'm sure most people in this room have done some damage in their lives to their relationships due to their non-belief and arguments. And I think street epistemology is the best way to keep from damaging your personal relationships when you're challenging beliefs. And I think that's an important part of street epistemology that you pointed out. And I know that a lot of people have a difficulty being nice to religious believers who are atheists. They would rather just term a new one. They can't stand, you know, faking niceness. But I think I tried to advise people that you could use street epistemology with any belief. It doesn't have to be a God belief. And there's a lot of atheists that could use, you know, learning how to revise their beliefs easier as a tool to, you know, learn to communicate critical thinking better. And it's not just religious believers that need to know how to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have some story where you started learning SE and then teaching your family about it, or they overheard you doing it, or
yeah,
what was that all about?
Yeah, my mom got really interested in skepticism, and she started a skeptic blog. And the whole reason is because I was getting into this street epistemology, and I was asking questions and getting people to reflect on their beliefs. And she thought it was really cool and interesting. And I think she's a success story for someone who's been affected by street epistemology and really turned her life in a different direction.
Would she be okay with you sharing her blog name here?
Of course. Yeah. Her blog is skepticreview.com, like one word, skepticreview.com.
Cool.
Great. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Nice.
How about you, Todd? Tell us a little bit about your experience this past weekend. You were kind of straddling both tables Two
Literally.
tables.
Literally, yeah. I volunteer with Recovering from Religion, and so they needed help, and so I was back and forth quite a bit. When I seen that there was a slack in our table, I'd come over and fill in, and so I was going back and forth. And what I like about it is that, like you said earlier, that the two tie together so well. I'm a chat agent, and we get people coming in asking questions, and they're in all different positions in their journey. And sometimes we'll have someone come in and say, I don't believe anymore, but I still struggle with knowing whether or not there is actually a God or not. How can I know? And in situations like that, SE is really nice to have in your tool bag to peel back the layers for them. You know, why do you believe, and what method are you using? And so I really like that. As far as the SC at the convention, like I said earlier, I was really surprised at all the buzz around our table all the time. And people would come back 2, 3, 4 times, following up with questions and wanting more information. And we had a tablet out there to take emails, and we couldn't get people to sign up their email addresses at first. And then we decided, let's start giving out a T-shirt. Give us your email, we'll give you a T-shirt. And we ended up filling up a couple pages. So, yeah.
Actually, I think that made it easier to give the T-shirts away, because if you were just giving them away, people were like, "Wait a minute, why are you just giving it away?" But if you're like, "Oh, I have to do something like sign this thing," okay,
Okay,
right, free T-shirt.
That's interesting.
yeah.
Weird. Humans and their psychology.
You know, we have a form for capturing emails on the SE website specifically for conferences, but we didn't have a dedicated device for that. If I ever replace my iPad, which I might soon, maybe we could just keep that on the page. But yeah, somebody had the great idea of, let's just pull out a legal pad of paper and just start capturing emails. But I didn't realize that there was a catch, but that catch made it easier to get the email. Or give away a shirt, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, we'd still give away the shirt if they didn't, but that got some people at least.
Yeah. Kept the flow going.
Yeah, and I saw a few people wearing the T-shirts the next day too. In fact, it was kind of funny. Phil Sessions from the Atheist Experience was asking where there's one right there. That's a white one. And I'm going to try to hook up Phil with it. So maybe, hey, you never know. We might see that logo on one of their shows.
I got Thomas Westbrook, also known as Holy Kool-Aid, to wear his Street Epistemology T-shirt on the last day of the conference, and I was like, dude, I have to get a selfie with you in this thing. So he made it look good. It's pretty awesome.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you. It's pretty cool.
Did anyone ever come up to the table and share a profound story with you? I found myself engaging with people and hearing all sorts of very passionate stories about how SE helped them. It's helped them have better conversations. And there's even one story I want to share with you. I asked him if he could type it up in an email, and he sent it to me this morning, that I can share with you guys later. But did you guys have anything like that? Did anybody, good or bad, relate us an experience maybe where they used it and it failed or helped them?
I didn't personally have one at the convention, but on the Recovering from Religion, I've had people come in as a result of SE, and they were searching. So it's effective, and we're reaching people.
Well, that's why I think Daryl Ray sees the benefit of associating our two tables, our two groups with each other, because in fact, the letter that I want to read later is a guy who discovered SE videos. And it led to him abandoning his belief and then reaching out to Recovering from Religion. Yeah,
I didn't have any. So I think a lot of people that came up to me were really wondering how to improve specific situations, like with family members in particular. And they approached me with specific claims that they had and stuff, and how to address that. And you can tell that just being an atheist in some of these situations just kind of hurts them in some way, or kind of lends away from their credibility somehow when you're surrounded by other people who don't believe the same way you do. So I like to think that telling them how they can maybe approach it in a way that's non-confrontational and just kind of addresses closer to the heart of the matter really gave me a lot of satisfaction. I don't know if I can remember any specific stories, but just lots of, I remembered a lot of people talking about family in particular, and that really struck a chord with me.
Mm. How about you, Sid?
Yeah, I do think that it definitely helps with family when it comes to the idea of just letting them think and being calm and asking about reasons, not about reasons, but about methods. And it gets, because if you start arguing about reasons, it's a rabbit hole that never ends. And since you can't get away from family, the rabbit hole just keeps going. And so if you can, I like to get off of the religion and just start talking about science, or how do you know things in general, philosophy, not specifically. Can kind of get you off the religion topic sometimes if you're just talking about epistemology. But with that, I actually have to jet. It was great talking to you guys, and I'd love to come back on sometime and chat a little bit longer with you when I don't have to go make a few dollars. If you know
We understand, Sid. Thank you very much for carving out some time for us to do this. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
And thanks for your help too.
Sure, anytime. See you next.
Okay.
Bye, Sid.
I think I referred a lot of people, probably 5 to 10 people, to the article that I wrote of how to use SE with loved ones. That's on the it's a blog post on the Street Epistemology website. I think there are a lot of people looking to have better conversations with not just strangers, but their mom, their husband, their kids, that type of thing. Yeah.
I have a fun quick story about meeting Tracie Harris on the first day. We were sitting across from the Atheist Experience or Atheist Community of Austin table, and it was really great meeting Tracie Harris there, because she had shown a couple clips of my videos last year on an episode of the Atheist Experience. And,
oh, that's right.
And she came over to talk to me, and that was really nice. Thanks, Tracie.
We'll link to that episode of the Atheist Experience where they showed a couple of Reid's videos. Did she recognize you, or I'm trying to think if you were in the clips that she showed, and it was probably a while ago, a few months ago, maybe?
Yeah, she did recognize me.
She did?
That was another thing that was so bizarre, just walking around the conference and having random people just come up to you and saying, I've seen your videos and they're pretty cool. It's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, your video with Tia was the one that I showed as people were filtering in for the second workshop. And then I think I ran a different video for the first workshop. But yeah, that's neat.
It's a different experience watching people watch your videos.
Oh, you know what? We need to talk about, we had a little time. You, Reid, and Daniel had a little time, and then we joined you later to go out and do SE in the courtyard, and you brought your camera along. Was that Saturday? I think it was Saturday.
Saturday evening, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Did you have any good conversations? Was there any? And there's some pictures. Look at that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. There was this like botanical garden right next to the hotel. So Daniel and I went over and kind of commandeered a little table for ourselves, set up a little sign, and had some conversations with people walking by. It was funny. It was Easter morning, or the morning before Easter. I think it was on a Saturday. And it was really nice. Had a bunch of people stop by and had some great conversations.
And there's me in the like salmon colored shirt, trying to get people to stop, because I don't know, like it didn't seem like a lot of people were seeing the sign. You can just barely see it in this picture. There's one little sign there on your table. So I was going around trying to like, hey, he's doing 5-minute interviews. Are you interested? Head over there. I was trying to corral people, or at least let them know what you were doing. It was interesting. There was one guy, damn, I wish he stopped by. What was his thing? He said that he believed in ghosts.
But they can't cross sea borders.
Yes.
They were in Africa.
They're back in his home country. But that's why he loves living here, because they don't go across oceans.
Mm-hmm.
But ghosts are definitely real.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, would you, if you're interested, this guy's doing interviews. I thought that would just be perfect.
But it was so weird having all of us, and Todd was there too, amongst some other people that knew SE. I've never seen so many people do SE all at the same time. Like we were all having these conversations with people and stuff. It was really, really interesting. Because most times when you see people having conversations like this, it's because they're proselytizing or they're doing something. But like we were just talking about anything that was coming up, and we had a lot of interesting conversations. So it was really fun.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd love to talk briefly about my overall experience with this conference. This was my first atheist conference, and that's a big deal for me to see as many people as I have. I've been out to the atheist community in Austin, and I've met all the guys down there, and a lot of them know me. But this is the first time I've seen so many people all in the same room. Kind of believing the same thing I do, essentially, lack of belief, whatever, And gosh, I felt really inspired to see all of the work that people have been doing for so long in all these different communities. I got to talk to Gail Jordan, who is the executive director. She's still the executive director at Recovery from Religion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so she first messaged me when she first saw my video, like almost a year ago now. I can't believe it.
No kidding.
And was talking to me. Was like, "Hey, how are you doing and stuff?" And I'm like, "Wow, like you have so many important things to do, and you had the time to come talk to me about my experience and stuff." And it's just so awesome to see everybody coming out and supporting each other. And I got the same kind of experience as Reid. I was kind of like, I felt like this little minor celebrity from the people that did happen to recognize me. It wasn't very many, but the few that did, it was like, yeah, your video was really cool and helped me think about this and that. And I'm like, oh, that's really awesome. I'm glad I could contribute, in the small way that I can. And I hope I continue to. So.
I didn't realize that she did that. That's pretty cool. And I think I think I mentioned RFR in our follow-up video. And then did Hemet Meta post about it? I'm just thinking maybe she stumbled across it there, and then that's really neat that she reached out to you to see if you needed resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's awesome. So,
wow, that's cool.
How long ago was that?
That was right after we posted that video, so that must have been July of last year.
I'm gonna look it up.
And at the time, I was getting a lot of messages and support from people and stuff. But it was really interesting to see her because it's like, oh, I think you have like a Wikipedia article or something. Like that's a big name. So yeah, that was really interesting. And I got to meet all kinds of people like Thomas Westbrook, Arn Ra. Of course, I already knew the guys down from Austin, but yeah, I got to hang out with them, and that was really cool too, especially the ones that knew who I was. So
that was what was neat. Like everyone seemed accessible and friendly. Yes, people were busy. Like I barely had a chance to talk to David Silverman. He was just running around like crazy. But like Aaron Ra was there chilling and signing books, and there's Tracie Harris over there. Oh, look, there's Phil Sessions over there. It was neat, man. It was cool. It was cool to see everybody and make connections too. I've made a lot of connections. I've had people, somebody that's in publishing asked, "What can I do? I really like what you're doing. I want to try to help in some way." And we have a project coming up where I might need some publishing. Another guy just messaged me saying that he's with what is it? He's a publisher and wants to know if I'm writing a book, and if so, hey, keep us in mind, type of thing. So this was great. It was great for outreach to tell people about SE, and I think it was great for catching up with people, and I also think it was great for making contacts for future projects.
And we some of us made some contacts roundabout ways where we're having opportunities to speak about SE. I was contacted yesterday with a free thinkers group in Arkansas, and they want me to come and do a workshop for them.
That's fantastic.
We have that scheduled. We're meeting June the 3rd, so I already have it on the calendar.
Oh, dang.
So
that's great. Daniel, did you get a speaking opportunity out of this too?
Sort of. I was messaging some people because I was actually trying to get Thomas Westbrook to get recognized as a speaker for the SSA, I kind of wanted to help him out and said, hey, if we get you in here, you got to come down to Waco, you know. And he's actually going to come down in a few weeks and go do that with us. So that's going to be really cool. But in my process of doing that, I was contacting the national people from SSA, and they're like, hey, you know, we really want to get some students that know more about SE to come at the conference. And I was like, you know, I can do a workshop for you guys if you want. And he's like, yeah, sure. So we're kind of talking about that right now. Nothing's official yet because we got to see about funding and all kinds of stuff. Because Lord knows I can't pay for myself to go all the way over there. But we'll see. I hope it works out. That'll be this end of June if that happens. So
that's cool. Yeah, I made whether you guys use it or not, I don't care. But all of the slides from my workshop and the presentation I uploaded to a Google Drive. So for anybody watching or listening, if you type in tinyurl.com/AACon18 SE, it will route you directly to that folder, and you can download that. It's got all the video clips, the keynotes, even some notes that I wrote to myself to keep me on track are there. So feel free to take those, remove the logos of the American Atheist, for example, put your own group on there, and give a talk or give a workshop. It's not that hard to do, and if you can teach people this method, I mean, that's really what we want. We want more people using this method and teaching it.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So, any other announcements coming up? Any other conventions or anything?
I got a few things coming up. I wanted to see if Max had anything he wanted to add. I feel sorry we have you just sitting there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I just, I really like street epistemology. Street epistemology is what got me interested in atheism in general. I was never an atheist to begin with. I was really strong about Buddhism, and I wanted to learn about atheism because I had some friends that were interested in it, but I was never convinced by like Richard Dawkins because he was kind of against, the sort of conventional view of God, and I just couldn't grasp my head around that kind of God when I was a religious person, so it didn't convince me. And then I read Sam Harris's book, The End of Faith, which is kind of about the consequences of faith and like terrorism and stuff, but I don't really think Buddhists are at danger to be terrorists or anything, so that didn't really convince me either. So street epistemology helped me because it got me interested in like reality and what matters to finding the truth and asking questions because it matters, and that kind of stuff really got to me, and it made me think, and I started to care more about the truth of my beliefs rather than just, having nice beliefs or pleasant beliefs, actually care about reality and what matters in reality.
This might be a perfect segue to read that letter that I got from somebody. I'll share it with you guys, and then we can get into what we have coming up, I guess, if that's okay.
Cool.
All right. So he writes, and let me see if he covers it here. Yeah. So this is an individual that stumbled across SE videos and then ended up abandoning his belief and then reaching out to RFR. And he was at the conference, and I had a chance to talk with him, but not nearly as much time as I wanted to. So I'd asked him if he could put this together. Just give me a summary of what his journey was like. So this is what he sent me this morning. He said, watching street epistemology videos gave me the courage to admit to myself that I am an atheist. They demonstrated time and time again the doubts of Christianity I had struggled with for many years. They showed me that atheism can be civilized and caring. They opened the door to being honest with myself and helped me find ways to take my first steps into the atheist community. I don't remember how I stumbled into street epistemology videos, but once I heard one interview, it snowballed and I couldn't watch enough of them. I saw every argument I had been fed over the years questioned, and I couldn't agree with a single apologist being interviewed. Over time, the videos made me more comfortable with questioning. They allowed me to actually search for definitions of atheism and what it means. I thought of the people being interviewed in SE, defending what can't be defended by reliable means, and allowed myself to accept the fact that I am an atheist. I was filled with joy and relieved to have thrown off the coat of oppression I secretly carried for so long. I cried to my counselor as I shared about my deconversion. I joined local Facebook atheist groups and eventually found Recovering from Religion. I've worked at developing a new social circle of open-minded people. My family and my wife are believers. I'm still trying to figure out how I want that to go. At this point, it's not important enough for me to tell my family that I am an atheist. That may change in the future as I've gained more tools in communicating in these instances. An additional thought to consider about the public availability of SE videos. One of the things I've been working on over the years is overcoming social anxiety. In the past, talking about religion was very uncomfortable, and had I been approached by someone practicing SE in person, I would not have been able to hold a conversation without being swallowed in anxiety and fear. Having the videos available online gives people with anxiety the opportunity to passively participate in these dialogues without fear. While I have made great strides in my own anxiety, especially since deconverting, I still appreciate this aspect of the body of SE videos online. Isn't that awesome?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's really nice.
I never quite thought of it that way, that there might be people who are ripe for questioning their beliefs. But if they're not comfortable having face-to-face conversations, then how do they go about doing it? And that's another benefit of having those videos out there that I never considered before.
Awesome.
Fantastic stuff.
Cool. Any last words before we go to announcements?
Great conference. Good times. Good times.
It was.
It really was the best conference I've been to ever regarding an atheist conference. It really was the best. The bar has been set extremely high. So the next time the American Atheists Convention rolls around, folks, really try to go. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Todd, how was your experience doing the face-to-face conversations? Was that the first time you've been doing that, or?
No, I do it the organic way, where they just naturally occur. But being on the video out on the park with you, the first one I was pretty nervous, but after one or two of them, I was like, "This is fun," and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and then things I seem to roll pretty smooth. I mean, I haven't been able to watch the videos or anything, so after I see the videos, it may be a different story. So,
yeah.
Did you do one on video?
We did 3 or 4, didn't we?
Yeah, we were out there for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, after I went back, maybe? You sat down at the table and did some? Oh, okay. I didn't realize you. Yeah. I thought you bolted out of there too for some reason.
No. Me and
Reid, Daniel and I, we headed back, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We had the VIP dinner. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that was a new experience for me, and it was actually ended up being fun, and I enjoyed it. So thanks, Reid. Reid pushed me. It's like, Todd, come on, you're next. All right.
Do you think your next organic talk would be easier because you did some active ones?
I think mine usually flow pretty easy with people. I mean, I'm sitting getting my new tires on my truck or something, and you're in the waiting room, and it's just like anything else. When you do something enough, you see things that you normally don't see. If I'm a roofer, I'm always looking at roofs as I'm driving down the road, or if I'm looking to buy a new car, you see these cars everywhere that you're looking at. And if you start doing SC and you're looking for opportunities, they're everywhere. So, like your Uber driver hand example, that was pretty funny. So, I'm
trying to think if I ever explained that publicly on camera or not. I don't know if I should get into that here or not. Yeah. Like I listen to podcasts now, and I was listening to one this morning and thinking, oh, he was so close to asking a good how question, but then he went back to what? So yeah, once you kind of get into this mindset, it's kind of hard to get out of it. Not that I'm complaining. I think it's a good thing.
Awesome. All right, so you have a new thing coming up soon, Anthony, in Dallas. Is that right?
Yeah. So this weekend on Saturday, I think it starts at 1 p.m. at in Dallas. There's the Faithless Forum. Go to faithlessforum.com, and you can probably still get tickets or show up at the door. It's going to be a gathering of YouTube content creators. They're all gathering and sharing their stories, sharing their tips, techniques, and they asked me to kick things off with just a short little 10-minute keynote, and then I'll be giving a workshop on street epistemology. Oops, sorry, dog barking. So that's going on, and then I got a podcast coming up. Have you guys ever heard of the NCG podcast?
No.
It's with a guy named Michael Jones. I think they changed the name now. It stands for Nuanced Common Ground. So it's a very like philosophy heavy type of theistic podcast. So that's coming up on the 18th of April. And then I was invited on a ex-Jehovah's Witness podcast. If anyone's heard of Lloyd Evans, he's been around for quite a while, and he invited me on his podcast on the 25th of April to talk about SE. And I'm really excited about this. I just found out about this yesterday. There's a really good likelihood of being able to give a workshop on SE at an upcoming Secular Student Alliance conference at the end of June in Ohio. And from my understanding, this is a conference where the leaders of all the SSAs across the country meet once a year.
Oh, wow. So
this is like teaching the teacher type of thing. This could be a huge, where I give a workshop, give the materials to these folks, and then they can be teaching SE to all the SSAs, all the Secular Student Alliance groups across the country. So I'm really excited about that. Like, as far as like, the optimal use of my time, this is a very good event to go to. So hopefully we'll be able to talk more about that soon.
Yeah, this is the same conference that I was talking to them about. So we'll see if we'll probably end up doing something together then. That's cool. I didn't know you were going to go. So.
Did they invite you to do a workshop?
That was what we were talking about. Yeah.
Okay, maybe some wires got crossed there.
So maybe, I think they wanted some SE stuff there, and I offered to do a workshop, and we're like, okay. And this was conversations for the other day. So maybe they asked you and they want you to do it. I'll go with you. We'll do it. We can do it together. I don't care.
Well, depending on how much time, like, I think it would be interesting to give a workshop on this is how you learn. This is what SE is, and this is how you learn it. But then maybe a secondary one on, okay, now this is how you teach it. So maybe we can still work something out with them.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about this offline with them.
Yeah, I'm down for whatever. But
yeah,
that's pretty cool, Daniel. I mean, because you were right there. I mean, you were on campus, and so that's pretty cool.
That's the thing. Like, I would really have no problem with you doing that at all. I mean, you're closer to that age. They might respond to you better. You've been through the process, and I mean, shit. The big challenge with these with the SSA and these college campuses is that there's a huge representation of these religious groups on the campus. You were with one at one point, so
yeah. And in my own SSA, I talk about street epistemology like all the freaking time, and I know they must get annoyed at me because I bring it up so much. But really, it's just such a useful tool when engaging with believers or about anything. And so I would love to do my own thing if I could, just to kind of establish like, hey, I don't want to say convert of the method, but kind of. Let me do it. But like I said, as I'm more, it's not about me, it's about promoting the movement and the method. So any way that we get it out there, I'll support you and what you do and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. I would like to announce really quickly that I am working with someone right now on doing another podcast as well. And this is kind of under wraps. I will say it is with a Christian apologist who has asked me to start a podcast with him. And I gave it a lot of thought, talked to a lot of people, and now I've agreed. So we'll see where it goes. And that's all I'm willing to say right now. So
interesting.
Yes. That's going to be happening probably within the next month. So
very nice. We'll have to look for that. Well, let's give I think we're kind of wrapping. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add regarding the convention outreach before we get into how people can reach us?
I don't have anything else to add about the convention, but this weekend I'm going to be at the Reasonfest in Kansas City, or it's actually Lawrence, Kansas, at the University of Kansas. And I'm working with the Recovering from Religion up there. We're going to be tabling up there. So any listeners, if you're going to be there, come by and say hey, and we can talk SC at the table also. So I'll wear one of our buttons.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will also be at the Faithless Forum this weekend with Anthony, so catch me there too.
Woo.
Yeah.
I'm flying out on Saturday morning and then flying back. I was going to fly back on Saturday evening, but the last flight out was like at 9:00 in the evening. So I have the next flight out on Sunday morning. I'm not even getting a hotel, so I think I'll just hang out, have a few drinks, go to the airport, sleep a little bit, get on the airplane, and come back home and take a big old long nap.
Nice. I think I'm going to be riding up with Russell Glasser. I think he's going to pick me up from on the way from Austin.
Cool.
I'll have to text him and see if that's still the thing. But
Is there anyone else from the ACA going? Like Mark?
I'm not sure. I've kind of gotten mixed responses from people whether or not they wanted to go. Some of them I know can't go. And I'm not even sure if Russell's going to go, to be honest. So I'll have to see.
Bottom line is, if you're in the Dallas area or near and you're interested in atheist YouTube content creation, primarily atheist stuff, if you want to meet the folks that are generating that content and will be generating that content for decades to come, more than likely, this would be a really good opportunity to meet those folks. Faithlessforum.com.
Yep.
All right. Awesome.
Cool.
That was a really good episode, guys. Thanks for doing that. And I guess we can give our social media or any contact info. Again, Reid Nice Wonder here. You can see me at Cordial Curiosity, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff. How about you, Max? Where can people find you?
You can find my Facebook, Max Mullen. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and my Twitter's @RealMaxMullen. And that's about all you can find me on. I'm not on YouTube.
If you ever need to borrow a large screen TV, Max is your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Todd?
You can find me on Twitter at tyoder61. And my email is tyoder61@gmail. So you can reach out that way.
Cool. Dan?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter @ObjectivelyDan. And you can find my YouTube. It is the man, Dan. And you can also catch me on the Street Epistemology Facebook study pages, where I post on their page occasionally, and you can message me on there. So
Awesome. And Anthony?
My Twitter is Magnabosco, and my YouTube channel and public Facebook page are Magnabosco210. And I try to be very accessible, so message me on any of those platforms, and I'll try to respond.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, guys. And until next time, see you later.
Hey, good.
Thanks, everybody.
see ya.